I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking with author Jean Hallam, who is making her literary debut with an amazing book. It is called The Angel Whispered. It is a deeply personal work that emerged from her journey of healing and self-discovery, drawing from a life marked by both trauma and, of course, happiness. Her resilient spirit shines through her writing. A lover of nature and of inner peace, she finds solace and guidance in the presence of her angel while enjoying the serenity of her garden. We're delighted to have Jean in the spotlight today. We thank the folks at Prime 7 Media for helping put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel. Jean, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Love the title, The Angel Whispered. Tell the folks at home what that is all about.
The Angel Whispered came about because I actually hear angels like a whisper in my ear.
Mm-hmm.
I discovered this when I was a child. And the spirit I also felt as well. So yeah, it was a book that I had to write. And the title had to be The Angel Whispered.
Yes, absolutely. Have you always been a person of faith? Is that something your parents instilled in you? Tell me a little bit about your spiritual journey.
Yeah, well, my family, well, we wouldn't say we were totally religious, but we did have faith. And we are deeply spiritual. The whole family are. And how my gifts came about was through my grandparents, my great grandmother. She was known as a Romany gypsy,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously my grandmother, and then my mum, and of course I started developing the gift of clairaudience and clairsentience and things like that. I was only a young child. I was about 2 or 3 when I first started having visions, if you like, um, which, according to mum, she wasn't fazed by that because she had an inkling that I
Yeah,
would be different, so to
exactly.
speak.
Exactly.
And as time went on, my gift got stronger and stronger.
And tell the folks at home what kind of messages you get from the angels. And are you able to talk back and forth with them?
Oh yes, yes. I'm actually now I actually give readings, and I'm a medium,
Mm-hmm.
so I do give readings, and occasionally I've done what they call platform,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't like doing really. I tend to like more one-to-one, because I feel then that I can get closer to the spirit, to the person who they want to connect to. Um, and also that I feel that I can actually relate better to that person. I do get quite a few people coming to me and asking me, will say, for instance, will my mum come through? Will my dad come through? And
Mm-hmm.
I always say to them, I can't tell you who's coming through until they arrive.
Mm.
I'm only a telephone link. You think of me as a telephone line. I am just the in between. I'm the voice for the spirit, so to speak. And
Right.
and sometimes I see them. Uh, like I say, I can hear them, and I get a feeling as well. So I can validate, whoever comes through. I always ask for validation, so that maybe it's a memory link or something like that that the actual person is looking for.
Now, this must be quite rewarding for you to work with a person who is missing someone who has passed, and you're able to connect with them. Tell me what that experience is like.
Um, well, I find it very comforting, and I feel actually humbled that I've actually helped that person, because I've been through it myself. Um, when well, it wasn't that long ago since I've recently lost a couple of members of my family who are very dear to me. So I went going through the grief process, but I can relate to that person who has gone through that, who is going through that grief process, and hopefully I can actually just give them a little bit of healing along the way, and to also validate that their loved one isn't lost. Their loved one is with them. Their loved one is only just through a veil, and I think that's what people worry, that they're never going to see see their mother or father or brother or sister again. But they are, so it's, in a way, I try to make it so that they can understand and make it easier for them.
Has this shaped your life view? A lot of people, as they get older, worry about death and what's to come, and about dying, and about losing their loved ones, losing their parents, God forbid, losing a child. You must view life differently because of your connection to the spiritual realm.
Yes, I do now. It's taken me a long time. I've had a lot of trauma in my life. I've lost a son, I've lost a daughter. I've also lost my mother, and I've just recently lost my brother. Even my father I've lost. So I've got near on the whole of my family have gone. And my faith has never wavered, because when I've been in trauma, when I've been in the depths of despair, I've always brought my faith, and I've always brought up, and I've said, please, angels, please guide me, please help me, please heal me. And there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. And now I'm not afraid of death anymore, because I know I'm going home.
Absolutely. Was writing this book helpful in dealing with your past traumas, the death of your child, your other family members?
Oh, yes, definitely. This is why I started writing the book, because when I lost my daughter, she died with SARS, which is from the COVID family. And it was fast, and I hit the depth of despair. I didn't want to live again. I really didn't want to carry on, because she was the love of my life, my little girl.
Yeah.
And it when I was in that darkness, like I said, I was like in a pit trying to get out. And that's when I felt the comfort come round me, felt the healing come round me. And then I heard my angel say to me, you can get over this. You can do this. Just trust us. And so I did. And I eventually started to live again.
Yeah.
And now when I look back and looking at my daughter's photographs and things like that, I smile and I have comfort. I don't see her death. I see her life.
Right. That's the
And
only way to live, and that's a beautiful way to live, because you
yes,
have to focus on the time you had with her, the years you had with
that's
her,
right.
and how she lived and not how she died.
That's right. Yeah.
What are you hoping that the folks who pick up this book to read it walk away from it with?
I hope that they have a better understanding of the angels, because when I was younger, I also had a thirst to learn. I wanted to know what an angel was. You read about them in the Bible, they're all over the place. You'll say, oh, I've got my guardian angel with me. And I thought, well, what are angels?
Yeah.
Where do they come from? How did they, you know, where did they live and things like that? And so I went to study. I started studying the angels, and I actually did a theologian course. And I got a master's in, I went to the university and studied. And I had this thirst to learn, because they were telling me, you have to learn, you've got to learn, you've got to learn. And then they said to me, now you've learnt about us, teach. So I thought, well, writing my book, I thought, well, I'll do it in a way that I can put my trauma write out what I was going through, but at the same time also what I was learning. And hopefully that people have a better understanding of reading the book, of thinking, well, Jean went through all this hardship and worry and trauma, but she learned this with her angels. She learned about crystal children. She learned about the archangels. She learned about what what they can do, and and what are seven heavens and things like that. And they themselves will be able to gain some knowledge with reading my book.
Absolutely. What do you say to people who'd like to connect with that spiritual realm, who would like to communicate with angels? Is there a way to do that in an ordinary person, or do you have to be born with a gift? What are your thoughts?
No, actually, every child is, everyone has got the ability. In fact, when I run my courses, I've got people coming to me saying, I'd love to connect. So I think the easiest way, and what I say to them, is meditate and keep on meditating, because eventually you will connect. You have to ask. The angels will not help unless you ask. Yeah. So I suggest that when you go into meditation, before you actually go into your deep meditation, before you go into your depth, you say, please, angels, connect with me. And they connect in many different ways. They connect with smells. You may get a smell that you've not experienced before. You may see feathers, which is quite common. You see pennies, which can just be in front of you. You can even see a name or see repeated numbers. That's another thing, is repeating numbers or repeating words that keep coming up. Various ways of them connecting to you, should I say. They can also whisper in your ear. They can put a warm breeze by the side of you. You can be in a room with no windows open, then you'll get this breeze come from somewhere. It's all forms of connection, and it's just that you've got to learn to acknowledge them as well. Once you've learned to acknowledge, then they'll come more often.
Once you're open to it, you'll experience it more. I know when my mom passed, I got a lot of very vivid dreams where I spoke with her, and they felt like they were more than dreams. They felt like it was her actually talking to me. Have you experienced that, Dad? Do you think this is part of the phenomenon?
Yeah. That's what we call lucid dreaming. Yes, I've had that recently, actually, with my own brother, when my brother's passed on. And he hadn't actually come through for quite some time. And one particular night I'd fallen asleep, and I actually dreamt of my brother, and I dreamt that we were having this huge conversation. My brother always was into American football, big style. And he actually founded a club here in Sheffield, here in Yorkshire, in England, and because he was so much into it, and he said to me, Jean, I want you to go to the club and just tell them that I'm still around. And so I have arranged to go to the club, and we're going to have a cup made for the player of the year, which is going to be my brother's name.
Wonderful, wonderful. That is a great way to remember him and to mark his passing, and to mark the fact that he is here alive in spirit. And I know you'll be reunited with him someday. Oh, yes, absolutely. The name of the book is called The Angel Whispered. It is written by Jean Hallam. It is a deeply personal work that emerged from her journey of healing and self-discovery. It is a book that will renew your faith, that will change your perspective, that will make you believe in angels again. And that is God's work. Jean, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure is all mine. And to the
Okay,
folks
thank
at
you.
home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.